Hey everyone, and welcome to AMC Movie Talk for movie fans. I'm Crystal Kennedy, and this is the show where we bring you the day's biggest movie news, and of course we give you insight into what it all means. Joining me, as always, is AMC Movie News Senior Editor, Mr. John Campia.
Greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome to the best damn movie-related show on the internet, coming to you live from the Stream.tv studios here in Hollywood, California. We are so glad you decided to make us part of your day, and I got a very special announcement. Of course, we do now AMC Versus, and on Fridays we announce the results. This past week, of course, I debated John Schnepp on the issue is Jesse Eisenberg the right choice to play Lex Luthor? And I have to say I'm a little bit disappointed. I only won the debate 38.8% to 61.2%. So I did win. I'm not going to lie, though. I wanted to wipe the floor with Schnepp's smug little face. I'm just kidding. The funny thing is about this versus was really, I didn't believe half the things I was saying, and I know Schnepp didn't believe half the things he was saying, but that's what makes Versus so much fun. So yeah, the result was I won 61.2 to 38.3. Next week's Versus, it's going to be me versus Aaron Darling, the two undefeated. Oh, no, sorry, you're 1-1 against Schnepp, but we're close. So one win against one win, and we're going to be debating which is the best 2012 comedy, Ted or 21 Jump Street. And I think you picked Ted, right?
I have Ted.
You have Ted, and I'm going to defend 21 Jump Street. So that's where we are.
We also have joining us our AMC Movie News production manager, Mr. Dennis Sen.
So in AMC hockey news, Team USA beat Slovakia 7-1.
Yeah, and as of right now, it's the second period. Canada is beating Austria 6-0. So just keeping everybody up to date on the Olympics.
And we also have joining us, this is the longest time we've ever taken
For
to
intros.
announce everyone. We also have our AMC Movie News entertainment correspondent, Aaron Darling.
Hello, and in AMC holiday news, today's Valentine's Day, and I am here with my Ultimate Spider-Man, Marvel Valentines, and the Thor ones as well, which everyone on the AMC crew got. And I would just like to say Happy Valentine's Day to everyone out there on the internet. I hope it's full of romance and love and happiness.
It was one of those mixed emotion moments because I sat down at the desk here, and there was this little card from Aaron for Happy Valentine's Day, and I got so excited. This is the epitome of ungratefulness. I was so happy to see it, and I thought, oh, there's going to be a little chocolate in this. And I opened up and, and I just ripped the Valentine. Wait, I went,
oh my God.
No chocolate. But,
Well,
but I do like the Valentine.
I'll give you Thor one too to make it better.
Okay, that one I feel better. Okay,
The Spider-Man one's better. Spider-Man
I
one's
liked
better.
it, yeah. All right, sorry. Let's move on. Sorry, Crystal Lee.
Well, you guys, today's an all mailbag AMC Movie News. So I have some questions pulled out, and then we're going to take some questions via Twitter Live. So we're going to start out with Justin Wilkinson, who writes, "Hey, y'all, have you heard any news on the Dark Crystal prequel that was announced a couple years back?"
Okay, so first of all, Dark Crystal is awesome. It honestly, aside from Star Wars, which completely defined not only my childhood, but my life. I know that's kind of sad, but Dark Crystal was, to me as a kid, I mean, the Skeksis were the scariest things I had ever seen at the time. Those crab, black-shelled creatures, the Gelflings, I mean, what were the little, what did they call the little creatures that they suck the life essence out of? They always reminded me of the dozers on Fraggle Rock. But whatever the little ones were, they'd suck the energy out of them, and the Chamberlain, and everything about the Dark Crystal is so awesome. So a number of years ago, for those of you who didn't know, it came out that Jim Henson was trying to develop a sequel, and it was going to be called, I believe, The Power of the Dark Crystal. And it was going to take place a couple of hundred years after the events of the Dark Crystal. And I think the female Gelfling's name was Jaina. I think that was her name. The one who had the little Fezgeg, the dog. So anyway, and they showed pictures, some concept art of her. She was like this massively old ancient empress of the whole realm, and something goes wrong, whatever. And all of us were so excited. And then we heard about delays, and then we heard about more delays. Then we heard they decided they didn't like the script, and that was a couple of years ago. I have heard nothing on the development of another Dark Crystal movie since. And I think honestly, other than another Incredibles movie, the movie I want a sequel to the most is probably The Dark Crystal. I think there's so much story there to tell. It's such an amazing world. And the mythology of the crystal itself is so great, but I have heard nothing about it. Anyway, what do you guys think?
I love The Dark Crystal. I actually rewatched it on the Blu-ray like a couple months ago. I think I don't know who you're talking about, but I know the good guys were the Mystics. You know, like the good ones
and the
that were
Skeksis.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wouldn't mind seeing a sequel as well or a prequel, but I don't know how well it would do in today's climate. You know, because you have to go puppets with it. You know, you can't.
Oh, yeah.
You can't do this any other way. But in today's climate, kids are all about the 3D animation, and it was kind of dark for a kids thing. I was scared as well as those sketches.
But it worked.
It did work, but I kind of had some nightmares of those like bony, like crazy sketches. But yeah, I don't.
You just described some of my ex-girlfriends, but anyway.
I don't think it's gonna happen.
Okay, Aaron?
I actually haven't seen The Dark Crystal, but I know that there was.
What?
I know. You
Outrageous!
almost spilled coffee
I almost
everywhere,
spit
John.
coffee all over the place.
I'm sorry for that surprise. But there was a prequel in the works that was announced last year, and I know it was probably novel-based, but it's definitely something they can draw from
what
to
that
create.
was Henson put out this call to fans because they wanted a prequel novel.
Yeah.
Which is really kind of, okay, that's cool, but I want a movie. And then I didn't even hear what happened after that either. That just kind of fell off the cliff too.
There's been no additional announcements since that, and I think it was about 6 months ago when that whole thing happened.
Yeah.
So there's nothing new there. But I mean, if they do ever move forward in that area, we could get a movie based off of the prequel.
I still remember watching the first Dark Crystal. And the first time, I can't remember the exact circumstances, but one of the Skeksis fell into the fire. And then the camera cut to the Mystics walking, and the one Mystic suddenly burst into flames. And I'm like a little kid, I'm like, what? Wait, Mom, what the hell was that? What just happened? It blew my mind as a kid, but anyway.
Oh, I got to see this movie.
It's so good. It's so good.
You have to remember, you and me are much older than Aaron over there.
All right, sorry, what's next?
I have to tell you that I heard no one's answers because John mentioned Fraggle Rock, and then the song just repeatedly started playing over and over again.
Dance your cares away.
That's it. Worries for another day. All right, Ryan G writes, "Hi, IMC. Love the show. John, you're the man. My question is, do you think DC WB have compromised their casting budget by getting Affleck for Batman? Is the reason we are getting lesser known, lesser in-demand actors like Gadot, Eisenberg, and Irons because WB spent too much money on Affleck and now can't afford Hathaway, Cranston, or Kane?"
John, you're the man. Now you're the one who sounds like a bunch of my exes. Anyway, that's not true at all. No. DC didn't blow their budget. Trust me, when Warner Bros. And DC, they're not worried about how much they're spending on cast. But I do want to point something out here. You said, by spending so much money on Affleck, and we don't know how much money they spent on Affleck, but in spending so much money on Affleck, did they have to settle for people like Gadot, Eisenberg, and Jeremy Irons? Okay, Gadot, let's get that. Anyway, forget Gadot, Gadot, whatever, she's an underwear model. Jesse Eisenberg, as much as I, argued against him this past week, he is an Academy Award nominated actor. He is a very sought after actor right now. And I'm going to say this. He is a hell of a lot more sought after and bankable right now than Bryan Cranston. I love Bryan Cranston passionately. He's amazing. How many movies has Bryan Cranston been the lead actor in? None. No wide release motion pictures, and nobody's given him one. So that's not to say he's not brilliant. He is brilliant. But if you want to talk about marketability and who's more sought after, it's Jesse Eisenberg. And also, Michael Caine is brilliant. But if you're going to come to me and say, John, you got a movie to play, it's either Jeremy Irons or Michael Caine, I got to be honest with you, I don't know which one I'm going with, Aaron.
I object. Well, no, I have a question, actually. I have a question for Ryan G, because when he says Hathaway, Cranston, and Caine, Caine is spelled without an E. So I'm assuming, maybe, are we referring to Dean?
Maybe,
Dean or Michael?
It's Dean Caine.
Michael has an E, so...
Yeah, and Anne Hathaway, I mean, I know you're not suggesting Anne Hathaway for these new movies because that's a different Batman universe. They weren't going to use Michael Caine or Anne Hathaway anyway, but I'm going to tell you right now, Eisenberg and Irons are not, we've got no budget for anybody real. Let's just go get some riffraff. These are world-class guys. Anyway, Dennis.
I feel the same way, and also with the Hathaway and Caine, and I'm assuming it's Michael Caine that he's talking about, they're not going to bring them back, no matter what.
No,
Even if they were like, we're going to do it for free, they're not bringing them back because they don't want to tie this new universe to the Nolan universe. So it wouldn't make any sense.
All right,
Yeah.
what's next?
Victor Koza writes, love your show, guys. Watch it every day. There are new rumors about Gump & Co. movie, sequel to Forrest Gump, also based on the novel by Winston Groom. Do you think Tom Hanks could return after almost 20 years to this character?
Well, it's actually a really interesting story. Eric Roth, the guy who wrote the screenplay, they commissioned him to write the screenplay for the sequel based on the book. And this is like back in 95, 96, whatever. And he tells the story about how the night before 9/11, he submitted in the script. The night before 9/11. And he said, and then sometime after that, him, Robert Zemeckis, and Tom Hanks sat down, and they all sat around a table together, the three of them, the brain trust, if you will, of the character, and looked at each other and said, we can't do this movie anymore. It's a different world. It's a changed world. This doesn't feel right. And they dropped it, and they walked away from it. Now, a lot of years have passed and everything, and I think they have moved. So that's why they didn't do it at the time. I don't think 9/11 is why you don't do another Forrest Gump movie now. I think the fact that so many years have passed is why you don't do it now. I don't see Tom Hanks as the type of guy who wants to go back to a character he did a decade plus ago. I think Zemeckis has moved on. He's got a lot of things he's doing now. So I don't think we're going to see it, but they did try to do it. They were looking at doing it a long time ago, but it got derailed, and I think that's where we are now. I haven't heard anything different. Have either of you guys heard anything different, or how would you approach it if you're the studio right now?
No, but I don't think Tom Hanks is interested, and you're not going to recast that role. I mean, he's iconic in Forrest Gump.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I don't see them doing it without him, and I don't think he's interested. I think he's more interested in doing stuff like Captain Phillips, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, I know in 2007 they took another look at the script and thought about maybe making the movie again. Obviously, a couple years later, no movement since then. But I think that this role in the performance that Tom Hanks gave was kind of like a mic drop. Does he want to go back and do it now again? I mean, he did it so well. It was an amazing movie, and that performance was one for the ages.
He
just
did win
nailed
Best
it.
Actor, didn't he?
I believe he did.
Yeah, and it was 2 years in a row. I believe he won, correct me if I'm wrong, Chopward, but I believe he won Best Actor the year before in Philadelphia, and then he won Best Actor again the following year in Forrest Gump. Yeah,
I think so.
I can't remember the last time that happened. I honestly can't.
It's
In
been a
back-to-back
while.
years, it's been a year.
It's been a while.
It's been a
yeah.
while. All right. Oh, and by the way, I just want to remind you guys that we do the show live, Monday through Friday at 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. So if you're watching us live, we're going to leave a little bit of time at the end of the show to take live questions. So if you're watching live and you want to send in questions, tweet them to us. Don't put them in the chat board. Tweet them to us at AMC Movie News. So you can send them to us there, and Chris Lee will pick out a few from there. For now, let's get back to the mailbags. Chris Lee, what's next?
Thomas Dixon writes, hey, sons and daughters of AMC, love the show. My question is, why hasn't Hancock 2 been made? It was one of my favorite films by Will Smith. It made $624,386,746 worldwide, and its budget was $150 million. So, with that money, why haven't they moved forward?
You guys want to start with this one?
Yeah,
That's a lot of money.
I actually liked Hancock, even though I think most critics and most of the audience didn't. But the reason why they didn't move with the sequel is because of the reaction that people got from it. I mean, they got a lot of people to come see it because at the time Will Smith was a much larger name. I mean, he's still a big name, but at that time he was huge. And it was a superhero thing, and people thought it was going to be more comic booky. And so they got everyone to see it, but after they got out, I remember a lot of complaints. People were like, I didn't want to see this homeless superhero and stuff like that. So the studio realized that if they made a sequel, it would not be well received, that people wouldn't be excited to see it, so they didn't want to take that risk.
Aaron?
Well, in my opinion, it's one of those movies that was hot and exciting and a moneymaker at the time, but then afterwards kind of dropped off. And I think that it quickly disappeared from everyone's memories. And it doesn't really seem like there's a lot of interest or hype surrounding that property, and no real reason for them to return and make a sequel. And that's kind of how I see it, in my opinion, and just in the people that I know that talk about movies. No one is talking about or is interested in a sequel. So I don't think we'll get one anytime in the near future.
Here's the funny thing. I remember 4 years ago, Peter Berg said, we're making another one. And Will Smith is back on board. Charlize Theron is back on board. Charlize Theron, husband in the film. Jason Bateman. Yeah, Jason Bateman. Bateman's back. Everybody's back on board. We're moving ahead. Then nothing happened. And like 2 years ago, Berg was being talked to again. He says, yeah, honestly, right now, we just can't even get everybody together in the same room. Everybody's just too busy. But we did have a couple of meetings, and Will Smith had his own idea for the film, and we all brought our ideas. It's happening, and now 2 more years have passed. And I say, I'm with you. I really liked Hancock up until the 3rd act. I think the 3rd act for me, it kind of fell apart, but I was really into it. And I would be quite interested in a sequel. I would like to see where they go next with him and stuff like that. I thought it was really fascinating. Even the mythology they kind of introduced, I thought had potential. But they've been saying now for years and years and years, oh yeah, we're doing it. And every year passes and nothing happens. So I have no idea. It sounds like they want to do it.
The most important thing, though, is does the studio want to do it? Because that's the people that are putting the money in it.
Dude, $600 and something million the first one.
Yeah.
There's some room for error there. You know, when it makes that much money, you can say we can make $100 million less on a sequel and still be profitable. So you got to think, because they're such greedy little suckers, which is a good thing for a studio executive to be, you kind of think they want to move ahead with it. I'm a little bit at a loss for this. All right, what's next?
Gary Hassara writes, I was poking around Box Office Mojo and observed that movies with the most #1 weekends at the box office are mostly older movies, E.T. and Beverly Hills Cop, for instance, with Titanic being the most recent in the top 10 that was released in 1997. Is the explanation for this that there is more releases to compete against, making it harder to maintain the #1 spot for more than a week or two? Or is it that movies have wider releases and everyone wanting to see a movie in the first few weeks will have the opportunity?
Honestly, this comes up a lot when people who think they're being clever, saying, there's nothing but remakes and sequels now. And truth is, right now, no more original films have ever been made in the history of Hollywood than today. Today, more original films are produced and made in Hollywood than in any time in history. But there's also more films in general made than in any time in history. And when there's that much content, people want more bankable stuff, which means sequels and reboots and things like that. So you have more original content than ever before, you have more sequels and reboots, but it's all relative and it's all proportionate as it goes up. But it's almost impossible. Back in the day when E.T. would come out, it would have to face a new release next week, a new nationwide release movie next week. Now you can have 5. Like Aaron's been working on AMC Coming Soon. And we're looking down the sheets like, holy crap, there's some weeks here with 4 and some with 5 movies that are coming out. The amount of competition now for that box office dollar is higher than it has ever been. And that's why so many studios now put so much emphasis in getting that opening weekend numbers, because they know they have to make 35 to 50% of their box office on that first weekend, because next weekend, 3 more wide release films that 3 other studios are putting 20, 30, 40, 50 million dollars behind in their international marketing that they're going to have to contend with and compete with. And that's what makes it really kind of odd and special when a film like Ride Along comes along and can hold, even if it's weak competition. There's a lot of it. When they can hold #1 spot for 3 weeks in a row. When a film like Frozen can stay in the top 3 for like 7 or 8 weeks, as 24 other films have come and gone. It's really special when that happens now. But I think it's because of the competition. How do you guys see it?
I have 2 additional answers to yours. One is also today's culture with the internet and so many television channels, and there's constant distractions, and like with the advertising of movies, it's just constantly, we have an ADD culture, we're going to forget things very easily. And the second answer is Star Wars. Star Wars changed the game. When Star Wars came out, like before Star Wars, they didn't do event movies. And Star Wars changed the movie business forever. And now everyone wants to do event movies. You have Avengers 2, you have Batman versus Superman, you have all these movies that they want to be that one big movie that keeps on going and going and going. And so now everyone's trying to do that, and so the attention gets drawn away from movies that maybe normally would last longer.
Aaron?
I also think it's easier to get movies made today in general. I mean, we can have these animated releases like once every month or so. We have a huge animated release. We didn't have the technology to make that happen as quickly as we did in the past. And then also we'll have a big release, kind of like a Monuments Men type with lots of stars and lots of names. And then we'll have an AMCI kind of release. Like it's much smaller, lower budget, easier to get made as well. Harder to get in theaters though, but still it's great that we're having those options too. And for my last point, is this AMC Burbank?
Yeah, that's where our studio is. Actually, if you see this picture here at the back, see it says tickets, that round building up above the tickets in that graphic, that's actually our home office, our home studio where we do a lot of our...
Yeah, our office is right
so.
up there.
Yeah, I didn't even know they put that graphic in there. That's great.
It looks familiar.
All right, what's next?
Eric Williams writes, "Hey, movie news. You guys make my lunch break amazing, so thank you. I have a quick question for you. Who would you rather see in a future action movie, Emma Stone or Emma Watson?"
Two amazing actresses, and both that I cannot see in an action role. I mean, they're both beautiful, but also incredibly talented, and it looks like their careers are just going to go gangbusters. I don't know.
Emma Stone, the voice.
I think it has
She's got
to
the
be.
husky voice.
Watson seems just a little more frail to me.
Yes.
I
Yeah.
guess. I don't know. I'll go Stone. If I was producing an action film and the studio said you got to choose just one of these two, I would love to have either of them in any film I was doing. But if it was an action film, I'd probably go Stone. Dennis?
Love both of them. I would go Emma Stone for sure. I mean, she just has more of like, she has a quirky personality. She could give like one-liner comedic one-liners in an action movie. Yeah, Emma Watson, yeah, she just has that like very frail, like if you just like breathe on her, she'll fall over type of look.
I don't know that she looks that frail.
She does. That's why she was so funny in her cameo of This Is the End.
Yeah,
because
she was
she was
great in
playing
that.
against type, where
Right.
it would have been less funny with Emma Stone.
Yeah, Emma Stone looks a little bit like she could smack the smart ass out of my
Yeah.
mouth a little bit if she
Absolutely.
wanted to.
She's
so.
got grit. She's got some gumption.
got
She's
sass.
funny.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's sassy. She's a fiery redhead. Absolutely, I would put Stone in an action film.
All right, what's next?
I believe Schnepp is saying hello to everyone on the chat board.
Hello,
right now.
Schnepp.
Hello, Schnepp. Elizabeth Fletcher writes,
And your
"Hello
smug
from
little
Indiana.
face.
My question is, I am in love with Jennifer Lawrence, but I've heard several people say she's overrated. Do you think she's just a temporary success who's just picked movies well, or that she'll be around for a while? Thanks and much love."
Remember, I have to say this all the time, overrated does not, like if I say something is overrated, that doesn't mean that something is bad. It just means you don't think it's necessarily as good as maybe the majority of the people are claiming that it is. It can still be excellent and awesome, but maybe not the world's number one, right? I'm going to go out on a limb and say I do believe Jennifer Lawrence is a little bit overrated. I don't think she deserved her Oscar. I do believe she deserved a nomination, though, for the dancing movie, Silver Linings Playbook. I'm not really against her getting a nomination for American Hustle. So in those terms, I do think she's a little overrated. But I also think you're a little bit out of your mind if you don't think she's the real deal. Jennifer Lawrence has a load of talent. She's got megastar qualities about her. She seems to have a really good attitude. She endears herself to the fan base a lot. Filmmakers like working with her. She's going to be around, and she is probably the next Julia Roberts. She is going to be a major A-list player for the next 20 years, and there will be more trophies on her mantle by the time it's all said and done. So do I think she's a little bit overrated right now? Yes, I do. But she's still amazing, and she's the real deal and will be around a long time. How do you guys see it?
She's absolutely incredible. I feel like maybe her role in Silver Linings Playbook wasn't her best work, and I don't think that Academy Award was deserved. But I thought she was amazing in Hunger Games. I thought it was better than her performance
she
in
was
Silver Linings
so
Playbook.
good in that.
And anyone that thinks she's not a great actress should see Winter's Bone.
Oh, yeah, which was really her big breakout
Was
role, yeah.
incredible, and she's an amazing talent. I believe in her. I believe in her future. She's definitely one of the most influential players, especially in terms of a female in the entertainment industry right now. I see big things in her future. So
You know, one of the
I'm a fan.
unfortunate things is about her performance in Winter's Bone was that it was so good, and she was so young, and it was such a breakout thing that I think one of the best performances that year got completely overlooked, which was Jonathan Hawkes.
Oh,
Who was in
yeah.
Winter's Bone with her, because she was such a breakout in that. Nobody thinks of Hawks now in that movie. He was amazing in that film,
Yeah.
and nobody gives him a second thought, which is kind of unfortunate. Anyway, Dennis.
I personally don't think she's overrated. I think she's fantastic. She's got a lot of talent. She's got charisma. She's charming. She'll be around for a long time. And another thing, too, is she's done all these different performances, and they're all different types of characters. So it's
Yeah.
not like she's like, okay, here's just one thing that she can do really well. It's a bunch of different stuff, which lends itself to longevity in the movie business.
And she's only, this is the scary thing, she's only going to get better.
And she's only 23.
Yeah, I was gonna say we forget how young she still is. Like, it's scary how good she's going to be in the very near future. All right, folks, that'll do it for the mailbag segment. But like we said, we want to take some live questions for you guys. If you got some questions for us, tweet them to us at AMC Movie News. Chris Ali is the gatekeeper. She's the one who picks out which questions get asked. We have not pre-screened these, so we have no idea what's coming at us. So, Chris Ali, what have you pulled out?
Well, even though I'm anti-Valentine's Day, I'll stick with the Valentine's Day tradition. And Rick wants to know what your favorite romantic movie is, and also what your favorite romantic duo in a movie is.
Oh, favorite romantic duo would probably have to be Tom Hanks and Meg Ryan. I adore Tom Hanks and Meg Ryan movies. Like, You've Got Mail, I thought was awesome.
Sleepless in Seattle.
Yeah, Sleepless in Seattle. Were they together, Joe, in the volcano as well? Like, they had such amazing chemistry together on screen. So let me think about for a second about my favorite romantic movie, but my favorite duo is those two. You seem very opposed to that notion. What do you think?
I liked them in Sleepless in Seattle, not so much in You've Got Mail.
I love them in You Got Mail.
I liked that movie, but I felt like the chemistry wasn't really believable there. But for my cheesy romantic movie, well, it's not really cheesy, but it's one that somehow gets me here, is Romeo and Juliet. The version by Baz Luhrmann. I really, really like that. And I'm a huge fan of the 90s in general, so that's just like a 90s movie. In terms of the speak and the way that it looks and the mise en scène, I love that movie so much. In terms of my favorite chemistry or couple, I'd have to think about that. That's
Dennis,
why I'm not sure.
I'd have to think about the duo. The one thing, though, about Sleepless in Seattle and You've Got Mail, I'm not trying to defend either one, but in Sleepless in Seattle, they don't even, like, meet until the very end.
Yeah,
and like
you've got still chemistry. It was crazy.
I'm weird when it comes to romance, because like my romantic film.
You remind me right now of Liam Neeson as Bad Cop in Lego Movie. Do you see how I'm making the quotation marks with my claw hands?
So it's not a typical like romantic movie. I think a movie like Cold Mountain is like a romantic movie to me. It's like this big sprawling epic that has a romantic element to it, but it's not the total central focus
Kind of like
point.
Brokeback Mountain.
Yeah,
That was a good movie.
Sprawling epic. I just rewatched that one. That's why it's in the forefront of my mind. I was like, this is a beautiful movie. Oh, and there's guys having sex in a tent.
Speaking of Baz Luhrmann, one of my favorites of all time that really just pulls at my heartstrings is Moulin Rouge. I love that movie on so many different levels. I thought the music was great, visually it's spectacular. I thought the story, I mean, you get kind of weepy-eyed near the end. It's a beautifully told story. The other one, I've talked about this film before, and most people have not seen it, but it was a wide release film. It's David Duchovny and Minnie Driver. It's a movie called Return to Me. It is devastatingly awesome. It's so great. Basically, David Duchovny loves his wife. He has a wonderful relationship, and she dies very early on in a car accident, which devastates him. Minnie Driver is a woman who gets a heart transplant from Duchovny's wife, and then like a year later they meet. It sounds weird. Watch it. It's called Return to Me. It's funny. It's warm. It's engaging. It's a beautiful film. So, and probably the best scene I've ever seen in a movie between a man and his dog. I'll just say that. If you've seen the movie, you know what I'm talking about. Get out of here, Dennis. You know
I have one more that I just thought
sure.
of. Amelie. I love that movie.
Oh, yeah, Amelie's beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Beautifully shot. I love Audrey Tautou, and I thought it was a really great film, too.
All right, let's take a couple more.
KB wants to know, hey, AMC movie crew, do you think we will ever see a remake of the Clint Eastwood character, the Man with No Name?
Oh, yeah, no doubt. As soon as Westerns become more in trend again, and I think they probably will in the next couple of years, we'll start seeing some people wanting to do some Clint Eastwood remakes. I don't have any doubt about that, do you?
I feel like the future of Westerns is space movies. I feel like that's the final frontier, and that's where the progression is going, so maybe in space.
That's what they said. A lot of people said that about Star Wars when it first came out. It would say it's like a space Western in many ways.
Probably in the future, maybe not anytime soon. Probably like 10
I don't
years.
think. Yeah. All right, what's next?
Tyler Hudson wants to know, do you think the Death of Superman storyline could work in a Man of Steel sequel or Justice League?
I don't think they're going to go that way. And honestly, I don't. Maybe at some point I could see something like that working, but I don't think they're going that way anytime soon. I don't think it would work right now.
I don't want to see it just because of the historical kind of, in a way, blunder that the Death of Superman storyline was in the world of comics, because it did this whole thing about the death of Superman, and all these media outlets covered all this stuff. And he basically came back like 6 months later.
Yeah.
And so it just became like almost like a sham.
And it almost became a movie. Watch John Schnepp's documentary, The Death of Superman Lives, What Happened, coming soon. Aaron, what about you?
I hope that they don't try to incorporate another storyline or another crazy element into the upcoming Batman vs. Superman movie, just because I'm already so concerned for the future of this film that I think that they should just focus on keeping it simple. But that's just me.
All right, what's next?
Andy Panayautu asks, any news on the Hyperion movie? Last I heard, Bradley Cooper was looking to make it.
No, I haven't heard anything. You guys?
No.
All right, next.
Joanne says, hey guys, who from the Movie Talk crew is going to Comic-Con this year?
I think we're all.
We were actually. We've had this discussion. Everybody's mad at me because I said we're not 100% sure going to Comic-Con yet, and everybody got mad at me. We will probably be at Comic-Con. And if we go, we will probably have all of us there, and we will do another meet and greet, and we'll have some panels, and we'll keep everybody updated as far as what's going on with Comic-Con and dates and wheres and whens and all that kind of stuff.
I'll be at Comic-Con.
Oh yeah, I'm sure. Even if we don't go as officially as an AMC Movie News crew, I'm sure a couple of us will be there anyway.
I'll be there too.
Roy Harper wants to know, how much of Smaug do you think we will see in Hobbit There and Back Again?
I don't think much. I think he'll probably be in the first act, and I think they'll be done with Smaug in the first act, and then they'll move on to the climax of the series and the battle of the armies and all that kind of stuff. So I think maybe in the first act, but not too much. What do you guys think?
A lot in the first act, though.
We'll see
a lot of them in the first act.
I want Necromancer. I just want the Necromancer. I'm just throwing my Valentine's Day everywhere.
Okay, what's next?
Sorry, I'm going to skip that one. Bazinga Guy says, hey, I love AMC Movie Talk. Did you guys hear that Legend 2 might have zombie elephants in it?
I haven't even heard about Legend 2. I don't believe that.
I don't believe it either.
Okay, let's take two more.
Matt Wright wants to know if we will ever see a Book of Mormon movie.
Oh, I think so. And I think I've even heard Parker talk about it, that they're looking at doing something like that. So I wouldn't give them a couple years and let them get the massive success of their stage thing behind them. I don't think they want to cannibalize their existing stage stuff they got going on. When they're done with that, give it a few years. I think we'll see it.
I think we'll see it as well. It's funny, though. The Pantages Theater is right near where I live, and they have Book of Mormon going on right there. I still haven't seen it.
Yeah, I'm actually going to see it in
Oh,
a couple
really?
of days.
Nice.
I have tickets. I'm so
You can
excited.
let us know how it is.
Yeah, we'll fill you guys in.
All right, last question.
Mr. Crouchy Man says, hey guys, do you think we will ever get a remake or sequel of The Goonies or The Monster Squad?
Sequel, no. No, we're not going to see a sequel to The Goonies. I'm just going to stick with The Goonies on this one. Remake, yes. I do believe we're going to see a remake probably within the next 5 years. I think we will. It's hitting that. It's just a classic, cult classic, whatever. And there's a lot of things you could do with a remake with that one right now. So I would think we would see a remake. What do you guys think?
I love The Goonies. I watched that movie on repeat when I was a kid.
Yeah.
They had actually talked about a sequel for a while because they had a reunion and they talked about it, but then it fell apart. And I think they were just going to play, you know, their same characters, just older, and then of course they probably have their own kids that went on the adventure. But remake is much more likely.
Yeah, I definitely think we'll see a remake. Monster Squad, I don't know, but Monster Party is a property that could definitely use a remake or a reboot, an update, etc. You guys know that one?
No.
They animated the old school, all the monsters.
No, but I'm glad you know it. All right, folks, that'll do it for us. We've run all that time today. Thanks so much for joining us. Listen, lots of great films playing at AMC Theaters right now. Head on over to www.amctheaters.com for your theater, showtime, and movie ticket information. If you want an audio-only version of this episode, look in the description of this video and you'll find links to our Stitcher Radio and our iTunes so you can listen to us on the way to work. And I want to thank everybody sitting in this room with me right now. First of all, starting to my immediate right, the production manager for AMC Movie News, Mr. Dennis Zen. Dennis, where can people find you online?
You guys can find me on Twitter @ThinkHero and YouTube ThinkHeroPro.
Aaron Darling. Aaron, where can people find you online?
Twitter, Aaron A. Darling, Facebook, Aaron Darling fan page, and YouTube, Aaron Ashley D. And I just want to say, have a web-slinging Valentine's Day, everyone.
Boo. I hate Valentine's Day. And, of course, our lovely host today, Miss Chris Lee Kennedy. Chris Lee, where can people find you online?
Not celebrating Valentine's Day, but you can find me on Twitter and Instagram @Crystal and Tumblr, The Movie Chick.
And you can find me on the various social media networks just @JohnCampia. Thanks a lot for joining us, guys. Don't forget, if you haven't done so already, click that subscribe button. Become a subscriber to the AMC Movie News YouTube channel. So until next time, my name's John Campia for AMC Movie News. Bye-bye.
If you like this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe to AMC Movie News on YouTube. It's free and a great way to stay updated with all the latest movie news and check out our daily show, AMC Movie Talk. Also, don't forget to check us out on Facebook and Twitter to stay in the loop for our special prizes, giveaways, and contests.